Welcome back to Palangi 21. Today I will show you a 2023 British thriller film titled Femme. The film begins with Jules, who works as a drag artist, and he is getting ready to perform on stage with the help of his friends. After doing his makeup, he takes a break outside for a smoke. He sees a man who keeps staring at him. When Jules waves at him, the man walks away. While on stage, Jules uses the name Aphrodite Banks. He is very famous in London, and he always delivers a fierce and confident performance to an adoring crowd. Jules has just finished one of his shows at an East London nightclub. He goes outside to smoke, and realizing he is out of cigarettes, Jules goes into a store to buy cigarettes in full drag. The cashier notices him, and Jules looks uncomfortable. After that, Jules sees a man named Preston, who was previously staring at him. Preston enters the store with his friends. They see Jules and begin to say homophobic things at him. Jules, sharp-tongued and unafraid, retorts and says that he saw Preston checking him out earlier, implying interest. Enraged and egged on by his friends, Preston follows Jules out into the alleyway, violently smashing his head against the wall, and proceeding to kick and beat Jules senselessly. He tells him to strip, and his friends record it on camera. The assault leaves Jules physically and emotionally scarred, shattering his confidence and career as a drag artist. 3 months later, Jules has retreated from the world. He has stopped performing, abandoned drag, and lives a reclusive life, immersed completely in perfecting his Street Fighter battles. He still hasn't recovered from the attack. Jules brushes off going out to party with his roommates Toby and Alicia. Toby says that Jules has to face this and not let them win. One night, he goes to a gay sauna alone. When a man makes a move on him, he denies his advances. Jules is pulled out of his relatively subdued state when he overhears Preston telling off someone else in the sauna for trying to make a move on him. Jules follows him to the changing room. He is still afraid of Preston, but Preston doesn't appear to recognize him out of drag, nor does he recall the violent incident that occurred months ago. Preston invites him back to his flat. Jules agrees, seizing an unexpected opportunity to take revenge. On the way, Preston calls his friend to make sure he's not at the flat. He asks Jules to be quiet while he calls his friend. Preston keeps his distance from Jules and asks him to walk behind him and not let anyone see him. They begin to have sex before Preston's friends arrive, interrupting them. Jules borrows Preston's fake designer hoodie, the one Preston was wearing during the assault. His friends keep asking about Jules, how he knows Preston, and why he is there. Preston replies they met in Pentonville, and pretends he is there to buy drugs. Before Jules leaves, Preston asks him to put his number on his phone with the excuse that he wanted to get his hoodie back. Jules starts stalking Preston on social media. He decides to exact revenge on Preston for the assault by filming them having sex and posting it online. Later, Preston texts Jules to meet again on the condition that he dress normally and not like a gay. Jules prepares to meet with Preston, but he has a panic attack and brings a knife with him just in case. Preston picks him up in his car. Jules wants to return Preston's hoodie, but he tells him it's a fake one and lets him keep it. Preston takes Jules to a restaurant and he'll treat him. He impresses with Jules when he handles the situation when meeting with his friends. Jules starts asking about Preston's personal life. Preston replies that he is a private person, and doesn't mix his love life with his personal life. Later they have sex in the woods, with Preston enjoying dominating Jules. Jules comes home and finds his friends having a party there. A drunk Toby tries to make a move on Jules, but Jules rejects him. Jules sends a message to Preston, but he doesn't get a reply from him. He asks Alicia to take a sexy photo of himself in Preston's hoodie. He sends the photo to Preston in hopes that he will reply to his message. Preston calls right away. He is angry because he is afraid that someone will see the photo. Jules apologizes and says he's been thinking about him. Preston then asks Jules to meet. Jules begins dating Preston, and they have sex several more times. On one occasion, Preston spots Jules filming their encounter on his phone. He is angry, and makes Jules to delete the footage. However, he soon calms down. Preston says he has a temper, and Jules says he understands and it was his fault. The two have sex again, though less aggressive than before. They both promise to meet again next week. After parting ways with Preston, Jules checks the video he recorded. He lied when he said he would delete it. However, the video is too blurry and doesn't capture Preston's face. Alicia asks Jules and Toby to make up, because after what happened at the party they haven't spoken to each other. Toby apologizes for what happened, and Jules forgives him and they are friends again. Alicia says she and Toby have been talking about Jules's birthday, and they want to celebrate it. Jules says he misses performing as Aphrodite Banks. They plan for Jules's comeback as a performer. One night Jules is on his way to Preston's flat when Preston's friends arrive and disrupt their plans. Jules tries to leave, but Preston's friends won't let him. They start asking questions about Jules, and they keep making homophobic jokes. Jules sees them playing Street Fighter, and he tries to change the subject by saying that he's one of the best players. He manages to beat Preston's friends at Street Fighter. Jules is invited by Preston's friends to go to a bar with them. Jules agrees to join them, even though Preston seems to object. At the bar, Jules tries to fit in with Preston's friends. As Jules quickly observes, Preston's behavior is wildly different around his friends than when the two of them are alone. Throughout the night, Jules stealthily flirts with and teases Preston, eventually leading the two to return to Jules's house, where Jules begins to dominate Preston. With Preston's consent, Jules films the two of them having sex. While lying on the bed, Preston sees a scar on Jules's face, a scar from the assault several months ago. Jules lies that he was involved in a fight. Preston wants Jules to give him a name so he can beat the guy up. The next morning, Preston enjoys breakfast with Jules's two roommates. Toby talks to Preston alone, talking about how Jules has been different since the assault. He then invites him to Jules's birthday celebration, where Jules will perform in drag for the first time since the assault. Preston kisses Jules before he leaves. Jules then prepares to post the footage online but ultimately decides against it. He uses Preston's hoodie as part of his dress and texts Preston that he is busy. On the night of the party, Preston arrives with a present for Jules and gives it to Jules's roommate to look after. Not realizing Preston is in the audience, Jules arrives on stage in drag, where he begins to tell a story about a gay basher he has seduced. Preston finally realizes that Jules is the drag queen he assaulted months earlier, and he becomes visibly upset. Preston ambushes Jules backstage, revealing that he knows who Jules is. He threatens Jules and demands to know who has seen the footage. Jules explains that he has not shown anyone, and changed his mind after getting to know Preston. The two engage in a violent fight that ends with Preston almost strangling Jules to death. However, Preston collapses in tears and lets Jules go. Battered and bloodied from the fight, Jules leaves Preston sobbing and returns home to find Preston's gift-wrapped present on his bed. He opens it, and inside there is an authentic designer hoodie to replace the fake one that Jules took from Preston earlier. Femme is not just about revenge, but about identity, trauma, and the complexities of human emotions. It delves into the struggles of living in a world where queer individuals are often marginalized and abused. Jules's journey from trauma to reclaiming his identity through his final performance is well put together. His relationship with Preston, initially a tool for revenge, becomes a complex mix of anger, attraction, and vulnerability. Preston is a closeted gay man trapped in a world of hypermasculinity and violence. His aggressive exterior masks a deeper struggle with his sexuality. The performances by Nathan Stewart Jarrett and George Mackay are stunning, and the film's tension ensures that the journey is as emotionally complex as it is visually striking. The film's strength lies in its handling of complex themes, particularly gender identity, societal expectations, and the violence that marginalized groups often face. Jules's transformation throughout the film, from a victim of violence to someone who manipulates his attacker, shows the difficulty of moving on from trauma and how pain can shape a person's behavior. His plans to destroy Preston develop into a complicated relationship that challenges both characters' perceptions of themselves and each other. The film's ambiguous conclusion leaves viewers questioning whether forgiveness, understanding, or further conflict lies ahead. With outstanding performances and compelling storylines, Femme offers a powerful exploration of trauma, power, and the human capacity for connection amidst pain. Thanks for watching this video. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notification.